Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tim. I'm from OGP. The presentation today is how much web tech does it take to play Tetris? Playing Tetris is serious business for some people. Maybe it will become for some of you after this too. There's 70 slides of it coming, so be patient. I didn't really rehearse this, so I'm going to try to go fast so the next speaker doesn't have to get delayed too much. Before this, who I am? So I'm Tim Groleau. I'm in the tech industry in Singapore since 2001. I first landed here in 1999. I'm currently a lead software engineer at Open Government Product. I'm working on SingPass at the moment. I've been working with ECMAScript, actually a bit of everything, but mostly ECMAScript is what I like, but PHP, Python, Java, but a bit of everything. Open source for the win. All of you, I assume, are already there. And there's more to life than coding, so I decided to show this instead of some techie stuff. Okay, the agenda for today. You cannot make sense of this presentation if you don't understand Classic Tetris. So there's going to be a bunch of slides just to give you an intro to it. Then we are going to look at my little product and some demo of it. I'm not going to teach you everything about Classic Tetris. We are not going to do deep code dives. There will be a bit of code, but not too much. And if you have anything to ask me, it's all open source anyway, so you can check it on GitHub. But basically, this talk is demonstrated in my side project, which I will show you in a moment. And it follows, it's basically an example inspired by this talk from Sasha Koss, how side projects create better developers. Sasha Koss is the creator and maintainer of Dead Functions, a very popular JavaScript library. And I encourage you to go and read that slides. It's free online. Right. Okay, so what is Tetris, or Classic Tetris? Well, Tetris is the most popular video game in history. It's been invented in 1984 in Moscow by Russian scientist Alexei Pajitnov. It was released on the Nintendo Entertainment System, this machine here, in 1989. And it has been released since then on every single computers and system. So what is Tetris? I assume all of you know already, but I'm just going to describe everything anyway. So you play in a grid of 10 columns by 20 rows. There are 7 types of pieces. The pieces will fall from the sky, from the ceiling, one at a time. You have to assemble them to have full lines. When you clear line, you score points. You have to survive as long as possible. The speed increases till it is no longer humanly playable. So you have to die. Death is inevitable. It's a sprint. It's not a marathon, right? So what is Classic Tetris? This is how it looks. This is the interface on the NES 35 years ago. Yeah. Okay. But why do I call it Classic Tetris? Because Tetris has evolved over the years. So on the right-hand side over there, this is Tetris 99 on the Nintendo Switch, which was released in 2019, so 30 years after the first one. And you can see the interface is a lot better. There is some things, like there is only a single piece preview in the old interface. There is a bunch more. So there are some differences between Classic Tetris and modern Tetris. Modern Tetris includes many improved game mechanics, like wall kicks, generous lock delay, multi-piece preview, always charged DAS, bag randomization, a bunch of stuff. But yeah, modern Tetris is for noobs, right? If you like pain, you should play Classic Tetris, right? Okay. So randomization, what do I mean by this? It's important. Modern Tetris uses bag randomization. It means you throw a bag, you have 7 pieces, and you take them out one at a time. If you're waiting for a line to clear Tetris, the longest sequence of pieces you have to wait to get it is 12, because it would be the first piece of the first bag and the last piece of the last bag of the second bag, right? Make sense? Well, in Classic Tetris, there's no bag. Randomization is proper randomization, or true randomization, and if you are waiting for a line, you can wait long, maybe it doesn't come. Yeah? Okay. So in fact, in drafts is a terminology in Classic Tetris to denote when there is a span of pieces 13 or longer where the eyepiece does not appear. Delayed auto-shift. This is another concept of Tetris you need to know of. It's a behavior you all know. When you press a key on your keyboard, there is one immediate input, a pause, where it's charging, and a rapid repeat thereafter, about 10 hertz. Tetris has the same thing. So when you try to move a piece to the side, or left or right, it will have an immediate input, wait for a bit until it charges, and then it will move fast. So part of the game is to learn how to keep your desk charged at all times. Because if you don't have charged desk, you can only move the piece so fast. Well, you press and you hope the piece is moving. You see that little nudge on the top. Once it charges before it starts moving again, it's dropping, and you can feel that dead is coming. Right? Okay. Max out, another concept in Classic Tetris. The score stopped counting at 99999. Programmers thought at the time that no human would ever get there in the original game, right? But turned out that it is possible. I think the first max out was reported like some 15 years after Tetris was released. Now there are a whole bunch. But it is very, very hard. You have to start at level 18. You need to score a lot of points. You need to maintain 60% Tetris rates. It's tough. You have to survive at level 19, and you will die at level 29. The top Tetris heads these days can play in the kill screen, but not me. So when I play, this is what I get. I have 130 line on level 18. Then I have 100 line on level 19 to 28, and then I die. It's the typical game that you play. So you have only this, you have in total, you have 230 line to get that max out. So why is this? Well, NES Tetris runs at 60 frames per second. At high speed, many moves need to be performed within a 2-3 frame window or less. It's actually quite difficult. And the speed ramps up by reducing the number of frames between a time where the piece basically falls one row at a time. And so this is the number of frames where it reduces like this. If you play at level 0, there is almost 50 frames where the piece stays before it shits down. And if you move at level 18, there is only 3 frames. Level 19, only 2 frames. Level 29, only 1 frame. At 1 frame between piece drops is just too fast to play, right? Okay, so is it really that hard? And yes, so glad you asked. So I need a volunteer. So let me just set up something for you. It's gonna come. Please come. Wait. Oh, there you go. Okay. Wants to play. You know what? Let me show you one game at level 18. So this is the original game. Let's just not have the music. Well, parallax error is a real thing. Ah! I was hoping I'd show you a Tetris, but it's not going to happen. Oof. Ah, okay. But you can think I'm making this up. So I need someone to try. Come on. Who's good at Tetris here? Okay, first row, let's go. Okay, the parallax error makes it work. So it's basically left, right, counterclockwise, clockwise rotation. Okay. To start, you keep this button with your thumb here. Sorry, you press A and then start. Yeah. So no, maintain A pressed, and then press start. Okay, let's go. Show us what you can do. Are you trying?
No. I'm trying to switch. So this one to switch, right?
Yeah, left and right, and the button to rotate. Okay, one more. Maintain A press start.
This one, right? So
yeah.
B is to start, right?
No, maintain A press, then press start. Okay, now go. Let's go. Okay. Show us what you can do.
How to change the rotation?
You press the buttons, the 2 buttons.
This one, right? No. This is the first time I'm doing this. At least, yeah.
One more.
Okay, I'll try. One more.
Yes.
But
okay.
You just show me how to change the rotation.
And these 2 buttons to rotate.
It will rotate, right?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah. Right.
No, it won't change the angle, right?
It can only rotate by the 90-degree.
Oh. It can change only by 90 degrees.
Yes.
It's too hard.
Okay, anyway, so that was me, but now it's your turn again. Last game, then we move on. Now he's done. Now he's done. Come on, give him a chance. All right. So, okay, first select back to get this. Then press, no. Select start. Okay, press A, press start. Okay, let's go.
Okay. No. Oh. Oh.
Okay, it's all right. Round of applause for our volunteers. Okay. Yeah, so he was not trying to be bad. This is very, very hard. So thank you very much for showing. Anyone who doesn't believe it can try later too. Okay. So say you have picked up Tetris, you like it, you want to get good of it. What's the problem? Well, the NES Tetris has a resolution of 256 by 224. It's basically the 8-bit console of the day. There is no stats, only piece counters. How do you track your progress? Some people were literally having spreadsheets, recording every single one of their game, record on video, reviewing again, seeing how they were doing. The streaming and video capture out of a real NES, the capture looks gross. It's basically analog stuff. Upscaling is inconsistent. We live in HD world. We want something that looks cute or nice. There is a competitive scene to Classic Tetris. People do like Tetris, but so it is a single-player game. What you saw just now is all there. There's nothing else to the game. But if you put two-player head-to-head, it's fun to see who can get the highest score, and there is some strategy into whether you want to be a follower or a leader and how you react to your opponents. So Tetris is a surprisingly great spectator sport. If you watch some Tetris games on YouTube, you might get hooked. So for people to do this, Restreamer came to the rescue. Why is this still here? Sorry. What do people ask you to do? They say, hey, if you want to play, I can help restream a match between two players. So if you want to stream, you use a software called OBS, which is Open Broadcaster software. You have to make sure that your screen capture looks exactly like this. So this is exactly where you're going to have your game. You're going to have your webcam here and some other information there. And as a restreamer, you'll have restreamer 1, restreamer 2. Sorry, you have player 1, player 2. The restreamer will load this from the internet inside the OBS, and it's going to just cut the input video into various spaces to rearrange it into a playfield of head-to-head display, right? So this is one example like this, where people were making their own stats. So now you have the score, you have the number of lines, you have the board. But I don't know if you can tell from this, the quality of the capture between the two players is different because they are doing analog capture on different types of devices. And you really, as a restreamer, you cannot control the quality you're going to get. This is another example where someone else did their own layout. So they cut and slice and shift stuff around where it makes sense. And another one, like this. So what's the problem with the competitive scenes? Well, so to do this, you need to have the two video streams onto your computer. So it needs a lot of input bandwidth. If you have ever used Twitch, you know that there is delay between the time you stream and it gets broadcasted to people. So now you have two players as input, and they get out of sync a little bit. The UI is inconsistent. Like I said, the blocks are not rendered the same. The image quality is not good. There is no comparative stat to know who is ahead. Like if you're a restreamer commentator, you have to look at the score and basically figure out who is ahead and by how much point, and then you basically comment it to your audience. Oh, so and so is ahead. But we know that people do look stats. This is a tennis match from wherever. You like to see your comparative scores, right? If you're into baseball, like they have a ton of stats for their player and their games. Well, WebTech to the rescue. How we solve all of this? What's the problem really? Well, we need data. Video stream sucks. We need something that can convert the video stream into a data stream. We need OCR. We need to capture everything about the game from the interface as we capture it. We need it to be low bandwidth. We need a compact binary format. So as a restreamer, it doesn't take much, and we can have some guarantees-ish of synchronization. So why do we need data again? Because we want to capture our game. We want to be able to track our own stats. We want to have real-time rendering. We want to be able to redraw everything in glorious HD rendering. We want to be able to build any kind of layout out of the game data. We want comparative stats for head-to-head games. We want replays, so you can see how you are doing. And we want integration with other services, with Tetris AI bots, if you have such. So, with all that long introduction, I present to you Tetris, which is my personal software. So, got enough stats? So, this is after you capture all of the data from the game, and then you can, you can redraw everything. So this is in HD rendering of there for the board. You get camera capture, you get stats for the piece distribution, how often you get a drop. So these are the drops right here. This is how good is your desk control. So you can see how you improve. You can see how you're stacking. It checks whether your board is Tetris ready, whether you're having a clean slope, whether you have a double well. All these are terms for techniques that you can do to try to get better. And it tracks your high score and PBs. So over time you can review. For head-to-head games, so Tetris is now used by the Classic Tetris World Championship. So this was in 2024, I think. Yeah, and so these are the top 2 players in the world. The guy on the right is Alex T. He's the world champion of Tetris. And this is using Tetris. So short history of Tetris. So I played Classic Tetris as a kid on the NES. I rediscovered Classic Tetris after watching the CTWC 2018 final match. I gave myself the goal of a max out. At the time, there was less than 100 people with max outs. I think there are a lot more now, and I still don't have one because it's very hard. I wanted to track my progress, but there was no tools out there. So I found an open source project on GitHub. It's a Python-based OCR for gameplay, and I made my own render in JavaScript from it, right? And I contributed some to the project to have the whole thing ready. So I was streaming on Twitch, not very popular, you wouldn't have heard of me, but so still some people would pop into my Twitch stream and asking how they could use the same setup, and it was just too complicated. Like the regular guy on the internet who plays Tetris doesn't know how to set up Python and a JavaScript and a local web server and a whole bunch of stuff. He just cannot. So I decided to make everything as a zero-install web app for the community. I almost fell into some premature optimization with, oh, this is going to be heavy. I'm going to need like assembly and web worker and whatnot. But you don't need to. First of all, Chrome bugs made that a no-go early. If you try to work with Canvas on a web worker, it's actually lower performance than with display for some reason, or at the time anyway. And turned out that JavaScript is fast enough, so it's not needed anyway. So as a personal project, I've worked on it over the past 4 years plus. So the way this looks on some sample replay, let's see. Is it going to work? Hang on. Yeah. Okay, so another thing I didn't mention earlier is once you have data, you can replay at whatever speed you want. When people were replaying on their own private video, they're constrained with the replay speed, but here I can replay at whatever speed I want. So this is one with a lot of stats, but we have more. It's another one. This is to show you that once you have data, you do whatever you want. If you want a text-based render, and so be it. You get a text-based render, right? And it shows that even though the previous layout is not showing the full sequence of pieces, you can track it anyhow you want, right? Got one more. This is something that people were asking of me. They say, oh, now that we have this stuff, we can have a multiplayer, multi-team competition. So once you have data, it's very easy to start aggregating the scores for multiple player. You can start ranking the team with whatever they have. I mean, basically, data is king, right? We all know this. You have your data, you do whatever you want. Right? Okay. Okay, so how is this set up? So it's really not rocket science. If you came here for a high-scale system, this is not it. The whole of Tetris runs on one server, but this entire talk is to show you that if you have your own personal project, you don't know how far and how much stuff you're going to be touching. So here is just, there is one Tetris server running on Heroku with a Postgres DB. Game files are recording onto AWS S3. There is a WebSocket going from the recorder on the side to the server, which is then rebroadcasted somewhere else. Then you can capture that in OBS Studio, put your renderer there and broadcast it. It is using a peer-to-peer video WebRTC for the player cam. So from wherever you are, the video is captured, and then you have the display, right? And for product project, you don't need to make it look very pretty. I think just make it work first, okay? Don't get bogged down by how pretty you're gonna make it look. This is the page, and it almost looks like that even now. So this is what we are capturing. It shows you the area of the capture. It shows you the normalized view, the value that gets extracted from it. And this is not like super smart AI. This is brute force character recognition, because the 8-bit character are 8 by 8, so it's very cheap to just brute force it, right? But yeah, so once you have your data, Nest Champs helps you with more stats. So, when you play a game, there is two things involved. There is whether the game is really tough on you and whether you're playing well. So the piece distribution shows you if the game is just being an ass to you, right? It's like if instead of having a nice bag with equal distribution, you have like one piece that comes a lot, another piece that never comes. This is a small formula. It's a little bit like standard deviation. So it helps me to figure out quickly, like out of the past 28 pieces, which is equivalent to 4 bags, or 58 pieces, 8 bags, how well was the game treating me? Dash control. So this is showing you how well you are mastering the game in terms of dash control. So you can see someone on top is me, not very good. Someone at the bottom, my son, at 14.8 dash control average. So great stuff. Drought. So you want to know how much is your drought. Typically, you get a drought and the drought kills you because you get too high, you're not able to score. So you want to know how much was the last drought before you died and what is the biggest drought in your entire game. This is a video on YouTube of a game recorded by a player called Buko, which had an 81-piece drought. Game progression was mentioning you want to capture your Tetris rate, you want to capture your board and how well you are playing. Once you have your data with all your game in database, you can just present everything. You can make a table, make it sortable. You can track your stats and review over time. So this is from 2021. And so, yes. Okay, Lester, you're up. Yes, so Lester is going to be loading Nest Champs on his computer, and we should be seeing him play. So it's to show again that. Okay, so this is Lester. He might not play much better than you, but don't worry. Yes. Yeah. Did you get the camera on? Yeah, it's not showing up yet. Oh wait, I may need to click this. Hang on. Let me just refresh this a bit. There you go. See, WebRTC, yes. So, when you work in your company, and you may not have a chance to play with WebSocket, you may not have a chance to play with WebRTC, but when you make your own software for your personal project, you do whatever you want. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Esther. Wait, actually, no, keep playing. I want to show you something. So this is the area with a default view with a lot of stats that you might like. But when you stream, actually, people might like to see your face more. So I'm going to show you quickly that, again, once you have data, you do what? Oh, hang on. There you go. So you can have a different layout with less stat, but maybe it's more appealing when people are watching your stream on Twitch, right? Let's go, Esther. You're doing good. Yeah. The one I was showing you just now, this is also a real one, right? So if I go to plain text, no. Wrong. Sorry. I modified the wrong URL token. Okay, so this is same game from Lester, real time, no problem. All right. Moving on. For competition, so it's the same thing. The thing is, thanks, Lester. You can have as many players as you want connected to a room, right? You need to have an administrator interface that will tell you who is a player. So even though people can be sending data into it, you can choose to ignore it. But you want to be able to pipe a couple of players to be the 2 players in the game that you're streaming, right? And you want to be able to change it. When their game is done, your next round of player come. As a restreamer, you will host multiple competition as you go, right? So this is one example. So this, again, bunch of stats, the efficiency, TRT, projection, runway, so on and so forth. So, okay, initially I thought I would ask 2 random one of you to play, but I think it's going to be a bit tough. So I had 2 pre-assigned volunteers. You guys need to go to this URL. Oh, I should have sent you this. Hang on a second. Yeah, Nestris room that you. So room UOB without the N. UOB, yeah, and then EMU. Yeah, slash EMU.
Okay.
It's coming. Then that's it. Refresh. Yeah. Okay, so make sure your camera is sharing, and then meanwhile we are gonna do a couple of things. So if you're in the admin view, we should be able to see that we have 2 players here. Okay, I don't know who is who right now. Okay, this is Lester, so this is Melody. And if we go to render for competition, all right. Is your camera on? Are you playing something? Play. All right, but in any case, so you can see it's once people are connecting to your room, they just need to access the URL that I had. They're just right away in your room. Okay, Melody's playing. Melody's camera is not showing for some reason. Did you share it again? Yeah. Your camera, yeah. Let me refresh. Technical difficulties. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Yay! Multiple. Yeah, it's just like a Zoom call, except it's for Tetris. All right. All right. Thanks, folks. All right. So moving on. Oops. There you go. Okay. I want to show you. I thought I had something else. I missed. Oh, there you go. Right. So as a personal project, these are some principles that I try to follow. Everything open source. The hope is that, if you get some people involved, they might help you out. It's a bit overrated, but I'll say a word about this at the end. Don't deal with user account and password. Don't make a system that can get hacked. So you have OAuth login now. So it uses Discord login, Google login, Twitch login. I don't deal with password. I don't care. Don't over-engineer. Just do the absolute bare minimum. Copy-paste works. You're not in production. Your tech lead is not going to kill you. Just do what works. And if you see that it makes sense to, you can refactor later. Real-time, so you can use WebSockets. If you do real-time stuff in production, typically you have to be very careful. In practice, when you do a game as a streamer for 2 hours here and there, you know what? The network is going to be stable. So you can assume that the network is up, and then you have a lot more freedom in your coding. Minimal bandwidth, modern browsers only, who cares about IE and so forth. Fixed resolution with absolute positioning. So none of us have the freedom to do that for normal CSS sites, but for your own personal project, you can. And that's very freeing. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So this is some example of code that you can do. So you can see here this is the server sending some instruction to the renderer, and this is a very dead simple RPC. It's an array. The first element is the name of the API that you want to call, and then arguments as second argument. And then the capture is sending binary packets that represent the game frame thereafter. So you can do this with a very simple API management. You just have like single object and then just call methods on it dynamically. I'm in my own my own compact binary frame system. So we don't deal with binary very much, like compact data format in JavaScript, but it's very easy. So this is every frame being captured by the system is only 72 bytes, 73 now. But you can see it's very easy to, well, it's very easy. You can compact it as much as possible for the game. All right, anyone can tell me how many players can there be in a room? 8, thank you. Right? Yes, because there are only 3 bits assigned for the player number. All right. So this is some example of code to do binary manipulation. So for example, the p stats take 9 bits each. Obviously, 9 bits don't align very nicely to byte boundaries. So you can see that even though the format is compact, there is a bit here that I could use for something, but I didn't. So all right, there's nothing to put there. Right. So if you're trying to get your stats, you have 7 pieces, 9 bits per piece. So that's 63, and 63 is 1 less a power of 4. Yeah, a power of 2. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Something I was pretty happy with. So like in the early UIs, every single box here is a box in the layout, and it would have well, it has a name as a class, and it would have either a P1 or P2 class attached to it. So because left has precedence over right, it's very easy to do a mirror UI. You basically tell where to position your boxes for player 1. So this represents the player on the left, and for player 2, you just need to put this in, and you'll have a mirror UI just like that. Okay. CSS transform magic, so simple stuff. In competition, you want to be able to show as much gameplay as possible. So if you have two games going side by side, it's the exact same display, but I need to compact them. So you can move the boxes around, and then you just tell it how much it needs to be scaled to fit exactly in the available space. Right. StackRabbit integration. So StackRabbit is an advanced Tetris AI. It was I think it was the first to break the game, get it all the way to the point where it would crash. So in Tetris Champs, it is, you can basically ask it when you replay your own game, where should I have put this piece? Let's see if this works. So if I pause here and I say, StackRabbit, oh, this one is wrong. Okay, there you go. Is this where you would have put it, Mike? Do you know why you should put your T here? Do you think this is the place where the T should go? Or is StackRabbit completely stupid? Why? Because based on the next piece, if you put it here like that, it's going to clear the line right here. Ooh. All right. So another thing I was doing is, once you're playing, you still want to be participating in your Twitch chat. So I connected to Twitch chat via API, and then I connected to the Google API to make it speak to me. So I'm just playing, and I could hear people in the stream. Interlacing is tough. Once you capture digital videos, you have all these problems from, the analog video from the old days. You have these interlacing problems. In particular, for the digits, it can be very troublesome. You can read a digit that's not correct. So for that, you need to make a system giving you a bit of buffer. The digits are typically stable, like the level will stay for many frames. So even if it becomes a bit blurry at the point where it transitions from value to value, it will be stable thereafter. So you can just read it a little bit later. But for the board changes at every frame. So once in a while, the rendering will be a bit wonky. All right, what's next? Well, it turns out that really reading the video stream is a pain in the butt. A lot of people are having a lot of problem to calibrate it. But in the NES world, there is this EverDrive Pro, which is a cartridge where you can put an SD card in it and put all your ROM in it. It's kind of legal. And so the thing is, they come up with a USB out system. So a contributor to Tetris Champ modified the game itself so that you can write into the USB out port. And Tetris Champ now has a system using the serial API, the web serial API, to read from the USB device and then just play it. And so when they were playing earlier, they were basically sending me data. Wait, no, not them. Okay, sorry, I got confused. I mentioned it. Okay, so if you had never played with 6502 assembly, this is how it looks like. It's not rocket science, but again, you probably wouldn't touch this in your job, but in your personal projects, yeah, just go and learn it. Okay, next thing is the the EverDrive Pro is pretty expensive. So the next step would be, well, I should embed an online emulator. Tetris Champs could always capture emulators by doing script capture via the media API. But that's dumb. The emulator has the data embedded in it. So you should be able to just read it. You don't need to do OCR for it, right? So someone created a Tetris Champs connector online, which supports FCUX, Messen, and BizHop. It was written in Lua script, and it's quite easy to set up for tech folks. So again, we had people like, oh, I'm not managing to set up the connector. What's going on? So that's annoying. So just this year, I've added an online NES emulator in Tetris Champs. It's called Rustico. It's I made a minor Rust contribution to it to be able to read the memory. And if you ask a user to provide their legally owned Classic Tetris ROM, the Tetris Champs will patch it into a modern trainer ROM. it will read the game memory from the ROM, generate Nestris Champs frame from it, and then display it with the same display we've seen before. So our two volunteers earlier were playing in the emulator in Nestris Champs earlier. I think, can I show you? No. Another thing, sorry, I didn't put a link to this. So another thing that you do is people were asking for live events. Okay, Nestris Champs is great. It looks fantastic for my event, but you know what? I'm renting a venue at some expo. The network is going to be terrible. I don't trust it. We cannot get it. We cannot have it not work in the middle of the event. So we need it to be fully local. Fine. So what do I need to do? I need to tell them how to do a full local setup. So I figured out you can do a Raspberry Pi setup. So you run your server. I was helping people to get the equipment they needed, the router, the switch, the capture card, the USB dongle, the number of computers for multiple. So one computer for two devices, capturing two devices is okay. And so, yeah. So as a personal project, growth is slow, but you get the satisfaction of your own learning and people liking your work, I guess. So after 4 years plus, I have almost 1,000 users. Yeah. And nearly soon 500, 500,000 game recorded. For some people, they like it. Okay, so Nestris Champs was used for the Classic Tetris World Championship in 2023 and 2024. I was asked to be the local tech guy, so they shipped me over to Portland, Oregon. So, and I was there at the event. So see, that's me. And that little guy, he's the guy who the first human to beat Tetris. So he crashed the game by going to level 250 something. You may have seen him in the news a few months ago. So I was there, I met him. Yay. So by now, since about middle of last year, the Nestris Champs is used in many of the major events in the Classic Tetris community. So there's just a few of them. And so in conclusion, sorry, am I behind? I'm probably behind, sorry. These are some of the stuff that you touch on a personal project, right? So obviously, HTML, CSS, JS, Node.js, Auth, Heroku, Postgres, MediaStream API, WebRTC, WebSockets, Canvas, bunch of stuff, right? A few more things too. It's not just the API that the browser exposed that you use, but you get to figure out new stuff. Like, so for example, to be able to detect how the field is, I ask people to click somewhere in the field, and I can detect the edge of the field by float fitting inside the area. So once you detect the edge of the gameplay box, you can, by proportion, find all the other boxes in the display. So it makes it pretty easy. Okay, how much is it for a personal project? Well, Heroku hosting for a single server with database is pretty cheap, about $40 per month. Nestris Champs comes with a pixel art trophy icon, which cost me $5. I bought a bunch of domains, so I only use nestrischamps.io, but I bought the rest anyway. You don't want a case where, if ever this was turning into the next big thing, like someone has stolen nestrischamps.com from me, that would be annoying. But yes, I did buy a bunch of equipment over the years. It's hard to tell how much, but if you go to my place, there's a bunch of CRTs. My wife hates it. There is like original consoles, clone consoles, router, a bunch of stuff, and many hours. Another thing to keep you entertained is that as you build your product, you can build whatever feature makes sense to you. So when I was building Nestris Champs, and it uses the Stream API to capture, and then people go to play. Well, if you capture, you have to capture at 60 frames per second. But Chrome has a throttle. If the tab gets backgrounded, it will run every 1 second only. And if you have a capture of a game at 60 frames per second and run at 1 frame per second, everybody was complaining, oh, your Nestris Champ sucks. But you suck. So what I did is, inside Nestris Champ, there is a focus alarm. Let me see if we can hear that. Give me a sec. Hang on. Let me just disable something. Disconnect that. Is there audio here? No, huh? I don't know. Okay, give me a sec. How do I get to my browser? Okay. Give me just 1 sec. Oh no, it's not gonna work because I'm not capturing here. Oh no, maybe yes. Maybe I'll focus now. Okay, while it's doing that, I'm gonna go something else. Maybe we will hear it later. Okay? No. Okay, forget it. It's a bad idea. Okay, in any case, this focus alarm is there because if someone backgrounds the tab when they're hoping to capture, the thing is going to go, like your background, your tab is not backgrounded. And it gives people a shock when it happens, but they are not complaining to me that they forgot to background their thing anymore. So not my problem. Okay. Yes, so random logo. So the normal Nestris Champs logo uses this first cup here, but when I paid my $5, it came with 20 icons. I'm like, I'm not going to waste 19 good icons. So if you go to nestrischamps.com, .io, sorry. Yeah, it will load a random trophy every single time. Because why not? Okay. And yeah, I mean, you basically, again, you build what you want. So, okay, sorry, this is nearly the end. Random learnings. First mover advantage is the real thing. So when I make Nestris Champs, there was somebody else that had another system online, and I think they were kind of equivalent-ish, but when people use the old system, they just don't move over. That old system has been retired since then, so now people use me. I feel a bit sad that I'm the second choice, but still I'm happy. But yeah, first mover advantage really is a thing. So if you have an idea, just get it done early. Low tech beats high tech. This one is an interesting one too. I thought it was obvious that Nestris Champ was better than the classic streaming with slice and shift, right? But turns out that people understand it. It's easy to do. It's easy for them to get the stencil working. Well, sometimes Nestris Champs, it's more complicated. It's more technologically advanced, and therefore there are some things that sometimes don't work all that well. And basically, a lot of competition online still use the old system. Premature optimization is bad. Don't spend time stressing about things. Just make things work. Just don't shoot yourself in the foot by doing something that's terrible, but you don't have to worry too much. Another thing, if you have a personal project, you may love it. Some other people will love it, but some people will hate it. And so just don't sweat it. Do your work. And in fact, to help you out with this, just build a strong base of promoters, people who appreciate your work, and you can create a Discord server, just have some discussion over there. Beware with camera permission. So this one is an interesting thing. Because we need to capture the camera to get the video stream of the game, I have access to all the cameras. Like the camera permission is not a per camera system. So a few times people were activating camera and their personal camera were showed up in Nestris Champ where they did not intend to. So I really had to be like, okay, you have to, it's disabled by default, you have to activate it explicitly. So yes, enjoy learning stuff. Open source is somewhat overrated. I think a lot of people are saying, oh, Nestris Champs is great, it's open source, so we know what it's doing, and people can contribute stuff. What people? Where are my contributors? No, no contributors. I mean, some stuff came, but not many. Do it now. So yes, so related to the first one, don't wait. First mover advantage matters. You can think you don't know enough. It doesn't matter. Do with what you know and learn as you go, right? Niche communities always have cool stuff going on. So what I mentioned earlier about Tetris Gym is some guy made a completely upgraded version of Nestris that runs on NES with trainer mode to help people get better. So there is a lot of cool tech in niche communities that you can find. Okay, and yes, the last one is if you want to get rich, don't pick Classic Tetris as an esport. Another thing is, okay, this one is interesting. I said earlier, slice and shift sucks, right? Which is why now you can make any UI you want with Nestris Champs. Well, this guy took some of the default UI that I made, and then he sliced and shifted around to make his own layout like this, instead of learning how to do something else. And I mean, he's happy, that's great. Okay, that's it, sorry. Am I behind? Yes, sorry. Questions?
You take questions later when
Sure. Yeah.